This is Ronak. He is a data AI and intelligence, all things that kind of space, machine learning and everything. And he and I have presented at the Melbourne Azure Boot Camp together a couple of times now. So he reached out to me whilst we were there and said, hey, I've got some ideas for a bit of a topic. So we figured AI is literally on top of everyone's minds at the moment. So surprise, we thought we would give this one a run. So thank you very much again for coming in and presenting, and take it away.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. So today's topic is data intelligence at your fingertips. We'll be talking about two Fabric features, which gives us out-of-the-box AI capabilities within Fabric without the manual setup from scratch. Those two are data agents and AI functions. Let's get into it. So it's a very simple agenda. We'll do the introduction of what those two services are. We'll see how they work, how do you set them up, what do you use them for, and then a live demo of the same. This is me. You can find me on LinkedIn. I do data and AI stuff at Rinco. And yes, I see the irony in the second point, given what my topic is, but SQL is very much alive. And yes, Mocha is legal code. Cool. So without further ado, the first topic is Fabric data agents. Now, this goes back to what Greg mentioned earlier, that there'll come a time when you will directly talk to your agents, and then agents will talk to your data and bring the data to you. That time's already here. That service is called Fabric Data Agents. So before the FabCon earlier this year, this service was called AI Skills. Now they have renamed it to Fabric Data Agents.
That makes more sense.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, so it's Fabric Data Agents. But why do we need Fabric Data Agents? Why is Copilot not enough? We have Copilots for Data Factory, Copilots for Data Warehouse, Data Science, Machine Learning, the Windows 365 Copilot, GitHub Copilot. We have all sorts of Copilots. So why is that not enough? Why did we need a dedicated agentic service? So we'll get into that a bit. So we have a few scenarios here. I have three examples. I'll just quickly brush through them. So first one is, consider you are expanding your retail chain enterprise, and multiple regional managers, they want quick sales insights without having to rely on the BI team. I work with clients where they have the BI approval process is so extensive, where they have to submit multiple requests. They go through analytics teams and managers before they get their report needs approved. Obviously, we can't wait for that if you need real-time hands-on data. So these are just some of the points that we want to address. What do you do when all these demands are hit at once? Second scenario, if you are a small to medium startup, you don't have the money or the time to hire like 5 data analysts while also keeping your business afloat. And let's say your finance team, they want a forecast. Your users team or marketing team, they want behavior insights. Customer support teams, they want immediate answers on ticket trends or whatever. How do you do that? How do you empower non-technical users to get this insights from your data? If it's a data engineer, they can just write a SQL query or PySpark query or whatever and get the data from your data sources. But how do you empower the non-tech users? Another example, healthcare provider network, doctors and nurses, if they want quick patient metrics, or if it's a law firm and lawyers want this, how do you empower those people? And that is where Fabric Data Agents come in. But again, why can't we just use Copilot? So first is Fabric Data Agents and conversational tools. So there's also Databricks Genie, for if anyone here has used that. It's very similar to Fabric Data Agents, but is obviously a Databricks offering. The difference between conversational agentic tools and Copilots is Copilots are not meant to be used on their own. So as the word suggests, it's a copilot. They help you do things with other things. So if you have a GitHub Copilot, they help you code within your VS Code or within whatever ID you have. Even though GitHub Copilot has also come out with an agentic mode where it just goes and does everything for you. But that's the basic difference between agent versus a copilot. You tell agent you want something done and it does it, Whereas Copilot gives you the things that you need to do the thing yourself. If you have Copilot in Fabric Data Factory, it helps you build pipelines, it helps you connect steps. If you have Copilot in Spark Notebooks, it helps you write queries or whatever. But agents, they're highly configurable, they are standalone artifacts which you use by themselves. So that's essentially the core difference. So what is Fabric Data Agents? So it's a low-code agent which is pre-trained for tasks like query generation, data summarization. In other words, it's a chatbot wrapper on your data sources. It's not a copilot, it's a chatbot wrapper on your data sources, which does the query generation, summarization, everything for you. And you can deploy agents to pipelines, notebooks, whatever, for event-driven and on-demand intelligence. Some of these things are still in private preview, public preview. Some of these things they have shown in sneak peek, but are not really available for everyone else yet in Microsoft style. And then you can customize it with prompts and few short examples, so your agents get smarter. Uh, so as Greg mentioned that there was an example where I also did, by the way, another session here about prompt flow and prompt engineering to showcase how important that is, and we'll see that in a second as well. So all of these things are supported by Fabric Data Agents. All right, let's do a live demo. Okay. So this is my Fabric workspace. I have a KQL database here. I'm hoping I can maximize this. Yep. So this is my KQL database. I've chosen KQL deliberately because most people talk about like Lakehouse or SQL Warehouse or whatever. This is a KQL database meant for millisecond time ingestion. It's meant for your real-time data sources. You can ingest data into KQL database using event stream, also a Fabric feature. So these are the columns and data points that I have. Now I want someone to be able to query these data points using natural language query. So what I've done is I've already created a data agent. This is what a data agent is. Currently it's blank. You can see in the Explorer, I have attached that event house and that table within that KQL database. And now I can just ask questions of my data agent based on the data that I have. So I have a few questions saved here. We'll just ask one of them. So which neighborhood has the highest average number of available bikes? So what it does is behind the scenes, it automatically figures out that, okay, my source is a KQL database. I need to come up with KQL queries, not SQL queries. It comes up with the query itself. It runs that query itself, and then it automatically gives me the final answer. So this is the query that it came up with, and the answer was 20.68 bikes. So that's the highest average number of bikes. And it also gave me the neighborhood, which is London Bridge. So I didn't have to come up with this KQL query. Now, another good thing about Fabric Data Agent is not only does it support KQL database, it also supports Lakehouse, Warehouse, and also semantic models. So if you attach a semantic model to your data agent, it'll automatically come up with DEX queries on its own, run the DEX queries and give you the data. And again, this goes back to what Greg was saying, that the semantic model will become really important here. So your data engineers have gone through all the trouble of the medallion architecture, taking the data through bronze, silver, gold. You have this nice cleansed semantic model, and you have a few Power BI reports, but some people, they want answers to questions, those are not answered in the available Power BI reports. Where do they get those answers from? From data agents. Just come in here, ask the questions. It already has all the knowledge that the semantic model has. It'll write the DEX query for you and it'll give you the answer that you need without you having to wait on the analytics team or data engineers or someone who knows SQL, DEX, or KQL. So that's just a quick demo. Now we'll go back to the PowerPoint to see how it works behind the scenes, what the science is. All right. So how does it work? Let me zoom in a bit if I can. Oh, no. That's not.
You zoomed and the text didn't get any bigger.
Oh. Okay, how do I? Just a second. Yeah, can't seem to.
Yeah, couple to the left. Just the magnifier, a little bit more soon. There you go.
Okay, let's see. Yep, there we go.
There you go.
So it has three engines behind the scene, NL2 SQL, NL2 DEX, and NL2 KQL. NL is obviously natural language. It maps your query with the right sources. That's the first step. That, okay, a question has come in, which data source out of all the data sources that I have attached to me is applicable for this question? And then it looks if you have permission to that. So what Greg was mentioning, that if you have shared something with person A and if they share it with person B, can person B have access to everything that person A originally was shared? The answer is no. Microsoft has been real careful here that if so, the example that I like to give is you have a data agent and data agent has access to three lake houses, A, B, and C, but I only have access to lake house A and B. Even though I have access to the data agent itself, if I ask a question that requires data from lake house C, it'll deny my request because it respects my credentials and the access that has been set up for those lake houses, because the query that it's generating is being used on my identity, not the data agent itself. So even though the data agent itself has access to lakehouse C, I don't, and so my query will be denied. And then finally, query is validated to see RAI is responsible AI policies. So again, it sees that nothing harmful or nothing that shouldn't be generated is being generated. And once it verifies that, it runs the query and it gives you the response. Now, one of the limitations that I've noticed with Fabric data agents is the response is always in like a plain vanilla tabular form. But if you have used something like Databricks AIBI Genie, you'll see that it auto selects the right visual based on the shape of your data. So if your data would be better presented with something like stacked bar chart, it would automatically generate a stacked bar chart to showcase your data. If your data would be better visualized in a pie chart, it would automatically select a pie chart for your data. But with Fabric Data Agent, that feature is not in yet. I'm pretty sure Microsoft must be working on something similar. Currently, you can only visualize all your results using plain simple tables. All right. Pros. So first, it only generates read-only queries. So you don't have to be worried about some user trying to outsmart the system and say, hey, can you go and update my salary in this table? That won't happen. It only generates read-only queries. So you don't have to worry about the data agent updating your data sources. The second, like I said, it matches the permission that the user has, not the agent itself. And I really like the third point, which is not only does it respect this within the window that you just saw, the Fabric Data Agent look and feel, but it also respects that when you try and integrate Fabric Data Agent into an external tool like Copilot or AI Foundry Agent, we'll see a small demo of that. Okay. So this is my AI Foundry agent. Has anyone here used AI Foundry or agents? Okay, so AI Foundry is uh, Microsoft's Fabric equivalent for AI. It's everything to do with AI. It gives you like a nice little playground where you can try all the different models, agents, playgrounds, all that. So I have this agent that I've connected here. I'll just minimize this and I'll show you this setup. I have this agent that I've connected here, and I've added my Fabric Data Agent to my Azure AI Foundry agent. And now when I ask this question of my Azure AI Foundry agent, what attributes are available? It looks at the knowledge base that it has, and it gives me the answer that, okay, the attributes that I have available in this table are the following columns. And if you look at the run info, it gives you like a nice little detail into what really went on behind the scenes. Now, why would someone do that if that's your question? I can already do the same thing in Fabric. Why do I need to integrate this to Azure AI Foundry? Answer is for any number of reasons. What if you wanted to have one place where you can have your unstructured data from Azure AI Search, but also your structured data from Fabric Data Agent? You can add both of those things as knowledge base here in Azure AI Foundry Agent, and then consume this Azure AI Foundry Agent downstream to have all your data available for natural language querying. So this is one place where it can be consumed from Azure AI Foundry. It can also be consumed from Copilot Studio. That feature is still in preview, so we won't be seeing that, but that is coming. And they also have a Fabric data agent SDKs. So you can see I've installed OpenAI here. This is a Spark notebook within Fabric. Now, what if you wanted to consume Fabric data agent in a programmatic code first approach? So this is the Spark notebook within Fabric. And you can see in here, I'm consuming it using this base URL where I have the workspace ID, and then surprisingly, the URL still says AI skills instead of data agents. And then you have the data agent GUID. And then my question is, what sources do you have access to? I run that thread, and this is the answer. See, it says queued. So this is the live progress of my thread and my message. So my message was in progress, and then it was completed. And the conversation is, what sources do you have access to? And the answer was, I have access to this table from this custo database, and the table contains information about this. So that was my question. Now I deleted that thread and I created another one. And now my question is, what's the total number of bikes available across all bike points? Yep, cool. And it says the total number of bike is 746,554. So this is another way of consuming your Fabric data agents programmatically. And I have had a word with the person or the team responsible for this feature on Fabric, and they said that they're removing the current limitation of Python SDK, which is you can only consume it from within Fabric. So if you were to run the same code on your local VS Code, Python notebook, or whatever, it wouldn't work. It would fail. But they're working on it, and they are releasing the Python SDKs so that you can consume it in your custom Python apps or outside Fabric. But that doesn't work yet. Cool. Now on to the cons. The cons is obviously it's in preview. It has a lot of these limitations that we talked about, and it only supports 5 data sources per agent. So you can't have more than that. So if you have 10 lake houses, all of them can't be sitting in the same data agent. You'll need multiple data agents for that scenario. Fabric data agent, again, doesn't support unstructured data sources. So if you have PDF files, CSVs, JSONs, whatever, that data cannot yet be answered by Fabric data agent. And again, that's where something like AI Foundry comes in, where you can ingest data from AI search into AI Foundry and have everything in one place. It only supports English instructions as of now. Non-English, I'm pretty sure Microsoft is working on that, but non-English instructions are being blocked as of now. And you can't change the LLM that Fabric data agent uses. So you can't be like, okay, I'm not getting the performance that I need. I want, instead of GPT-4o, I want to use Claude 3.5 or O1 Mini or whatever. You can't do that. That's not something that they allow. All right. And screenshot. Okay, we don't need screenshots. The demo worked. Cool.
I like that you planned for that, though.
Yes. Any questions about Fabric data agents before we move on to the next section, which is AI functions?
Do you pay extra for it, or it's
consumption? No, consumption on the Fabric capacity. That's another good thing because it's within Fabric. You pay for the capacity. It doesn't matter what you use inside it. Yeah.
They announced in March that they're available in any Fabric capacity.
Yes.
Whereas previous to March, you had to get an F64 to start using the AI features. But at FabCon in Vegas, they announced that you can use any capacity you want, but just be aware, AI agents will use up more of your capacity more quickly than others. So an F2 is probably not recommended. but it is doable.
Yep. Yeah, so they removed that constraint in April. Before that, you had to pay F64. Yeah. Now you can use it on F2 as well.
Just going back to the initial setup, is it literally just say create an agent and then go and select your data source? There's
Yes.
any specific type of agent that you need to, or any other
No,
configuration that you need to select?
no, agents are source agnostic. So when you create an agent, you don't have to specify that you are creating an agent for KQL or SQL or semantic. It can all be sitting in the same agent. They are source agnostic. Yes, one thing that we'll see is how to create an agent and how to configure an agent. Right. Cool. So if this is the agent, one thing we can see here is how to configure this. So coming back to why prompt engineering is really important. So we need to sort of ground our agent according to what we need. So we need to sort of put some sort of a boundary around the agent. So you can see I have this, it supports this AI instructions, which is essentially a system prompt. So I've given the system prompt that you are a metadata aware data assistant, whatever. Ironically, I have asked ChatGPT to generate that. And yes,
Why not?
why not? And see, it says that if a user request is ambiguous, ask a clarifying question. So just some things for it to help itself, right? And then it also supports example queries. So because I have a KQL data source, I can provide sample queries for my data source. So it's sort of like leading by example, the few shot learning technique of prompt engineering, that for this question, this is the KQL query. For this question, this is the KQL query. Now, all it does is it helps it define that the information related to these entities are sitting within these tables. It just helps it map the type of entities in your question to the tables in your data source. And yeah, you can have, and again, to Martin's question, no, you don't have to specify if the data agent is KQL or SQL or whatever. As you can see, we can add example queries per data source. So if there was another lake house or warehouse here, we could attach sample SQL queries to the same data source within the same data agent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Question, can business users access this from a friendly user interface rather than logging into this?
100%. And that is where something like Copilot integration comes in. So Copilot integration supports integrating with something like Microsoft Teams out of the box. So once that feature is public preview or generally available, you can integrate your Fabric data agent with Copilot, and then you can publish your Copilot with Microsoft Teams or any other channels. Yeah. And so, for example, someone non-technical in your team, they can have a data agent bot within your Microsoft Teams tenant and just ask questions there. They don't have to go anywhere.
So if you have like an enterprise Copilot license and everyone in your organization can access Copilot, then
Indeed.
you can integrate this with no additional cost. Like
Yes.
if you
Yes.
have Fabric and Copilot.
Copilot, yeah, you're already paying for those two things, yeah.
It will consume fabric capacity.
That's great.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? Do we have anything in the chat? No? Cool. All right.
The Azure AI Foundry interface
Yes.
that you show,
Yes.
do you have to activate that from Azure portal or?
Yes. So Azure AI is a resource in Azure portal. So if I go here, I have an Azure AI project in my Azure portal.
Yeah.
And then you just launch the AI Studio. And then you create like a hub and a project within Azure AI Foundry. Yeah. All good?
You can also go to ai.azure.com.
Yes.
That's a straight link.
Yeah.
AI, Azure.com.
Yes.
But doesn't need to have an admin setup activated, enable that in Azure portal or no?
No. So if you create like a hub or a project in ai.azure.com, it'll automatically sit in your Azure portal. So you do need an Azure subscription and all.
Contribute a permission on the resource to Ronak create.
Yeah. And not just contributor, you also need this special information, this special permission. I forgot what it's called, the AI something.
Developer, AI developer.
AI inference deployment operator.
Hmm.
Yeah, you need that.
You mean you couldn't remember that?
Yeah, so you need that, but yes, you can go to ai.azure.com and do that. Yes. All right. No. Oh,
F5 for the current slide.
cool. AI functions. What is AI function? So it's a developer first approach of what we saw with Fabric Data Agents. So Fabric Data Agents was aimed at non-technical people, people who can't write SQL or KQL or DEX. AI functions is for tech people, for data engineers who do not either understand the ML setup or they don't want to go through it, even if they do know how to do that. So it's a one-line AI capability that's out of the box available within Fabric. So some of these capabilities are summarization, sentiment analysis, language translation, and you don't have to worry about. So previously, if you have done those sort of projects as personal projects or university projects, whatever, you would work something like NLTK or scikit-learn, and then you'd have to set up those things yourself, create a model, create training, testing data sets, and then work with that and see how well it approves, evaluate it. But you don't have to worry about that with this. All of it, and again, everything works on Fabric capacity, so no extra infrastructure is needed. Uh, let's see. Why? Why do we need this? Not all data engineers are data scientists, and why not? Right. Uh, so again, this is a tech first approach. So you do this within your Spark notebook. And so this used to be the older way of doing it, where you install all these libraries and then you install the AI function library here. And it used to work on GPT 3.5, which is obviously really old considering now we have 4, 4.0, 4.5, etc. Microsoft recently updated this. And now you don't need to do the first step, which used to take a really long time. So as you can see, the last time I ran it, it took 4 minutes just to install that library. But we don't need to do that anymore. The libraries are automatically shipped as part of the Fabric runtime. As you can see, I don't have a session connected. Let's connect a session now. And so that's one improvement. You don't need to install the libraries. Second improvement is instead of using GPT 3.5, now it uses 4.0 mini out of the box, which is a much better model compared to 3.5. So we have the session up and running. Let's run this. Again, we have not run these previous commands. We are running this. It's importing what we need. Yep, 5 seconds, right? And now this, I don't have the actual data where I could show this. So I've just created a dummy data frame here. I have reviews here, product reviews. The cleaning spray permanently stained my beautiful kitchen counter. We don't like that. Umbrella is okay, I guess. So we have these reviews, and now I want to do some sort of a sentiment analysis on which of these reviews are negative, which of them are positive, neutral. Now, as you can see, I just have one line here, which will do that for me. And if I run that, this is what I get. So the first review is negative, the second is positive, the third one is mixed, and the final one is neutral. Now, I didn't have to install any ML libraries, create a model, separate my training, testing, whatever. One line, and it did what I wanted to do. So analyze sentiment is only one of the features available. The other one is summarize. So I have these two tool summaries here, Microsoft Teams and Microsoft Fabric, and I have this small blurb here about each of those products. I want to summarize this piece of information. I ran that command. This was my original brief, and then this is my summary. Obviously, in this case, the brief isn't long enough to really see the benefit, but you can see that summary is much shorter than what I had. So summarize is another one of the functions that you can have. And then this one is translate. You can translate from one language to other. So I have these 3 English sentences and I'm translating it to Latin for some reason. And this is what you get. Yeah.
Komodo.
Yeah. So to see what other, let's see, AI functions. Yep. So these are the features available here out of the box. So you can classify, extract entities, fix grammar, translate, generate response, all of these things without having to install any ML libraries, AI libraries. just the one AI function, and that's it. Any questions about that? Cool. Again, no extra cost. Your runtime is included in your capacity utilization, so it builds against your F2, F4, F16, whatever you have. But obviously, you'll have a hard time doing all of this in F2 or F4. Yeah.
You could do the first one.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, that worked. And I did not seem to have changed this. Yes. So obviously the con is the feature is in preview and you can't change the LLM. So if you tried changing the parameter that you had from 4 mini to something like O1 mini high or whatever, it would fail because that LLM doesn't exist for AI function now. I'm assuming they'll let us choose the model that we want if we have deployed. So that's one of the features that I requested for this, that if you're already paying for a model deployment in Azure AI Foundry, you should be able to consume your AI Foundry deployment from within Fabric AI functions, since you're already paying for that. So you should be able to choose the model deployment, but that's not supported yet. That's it. This is the recap. For Fabric data agents, you have to ingest the data, create the data agent, attach the data source, add some custom instructions and simple SQL queries for prompt engineering, write with a few questions and publish it. That's it. And for Fabric AI functions, there's no setup. Just install the libraries and you're good to go. Any questions? That's it. Good.